Good morning and welcome to the Metro Board activities of September 25th, 2025. Before we begin, I'd like to ask Mr. Johnson, our Chief Safety and Readiness Officer, to provide this morning's safety contact.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. There have been multiple incidents in recent weeks of trespassers on the track. Metro has procedures in place, employees who've received necessary training, and hundreds of cameras on platforms to prevent and respond to these incidents. In many cases, good work by Metro employees, whether they be train operators, station managers, the crisis intervention specialists, or Metro transit police officers, prevents an incident developing from a custom delay into something more serious. But in some instances, the result is serious injury or death for the trespasser. These incidents are tragic and have a lasting impact on our staff and sometimes other customers. Moving trains and third rail electricity make the track a very hazardous environment. For that reason, under no circumstances should a member of the public trespass on our track. As a customer, if you see someone behaving in an unusual or concerning manner on the platform, or you see someone on the track or walking past the end gate of a platform towards the track, immediately inform a Metro employee or call 911 or call Metro Transit Police on 202-962-2121 or text my MTPD at 696-873. Of note, there is signage across the Metro Rail system that highlights 988, which is the number to call 24/7 for anyone experiencing a mental health crisis or feeling suicidal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Welcome again. Is that better? Yes. Sound? Okay. To today's Metro Board activities and to this meeting of our board's executive committee. Since this is our first meeting of the day, I'll ask our Chief Board Affairs Officer, Jennifer Ellison, to please call the roll.
Chair Santos.
Present.
Vice Chair Smedberg.
Present.
Director McAndrew.
Here.
Director Lowe.
Present.
Director Alcorn.
Here.
Director Jarvis.
Here.
Madam Chair, you.
Thank you. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. We have today's agenda in front of us for approval. Are there any objections by members of the committee to the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. Now to the approval of minutes. We have minutes from our last public meeting, which was July 10th, and from the executive sessions of July 10th, July 16, and September 11. Are there any objections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved as presented. Okay, we have two items on today's agenda. First, our Inspector General will provide a brief overview of her semi-annual report, and which will be issued today and posted on the IG's website. And then next, our committee will be asked to authorize a public hearing and associated public input process on updates to Metro's Strategic Transformation Plan, also known as the STP. The STP, which was originally approved 3 years ago, has been the guiding force in Metro's transformation and progress over the past 3 years. The updates proposed recognize the progress that has been made to date and set the stage for a culture of continuous improvement. At this point, I'll turn the floor over to Ms. Amron, our Inspector General, to please begin.
Good morning, members of the board.
It is my pleasure today to present the inspector. I apologize, I need to move it closer. Thank you. Good morning. It is my pleasure to present the 36th Semi-Annual Office of Inspector General Report for the period of January 1st through June 30th, 2025. During this time period, my Office of Audit and Evaluation produced 13 contract audits, 4 performance audits, 1 evaluation report, and a limited review memorandum. This included an audit of the underground storage facilities, the data center, the travel expenses, the alternate inventory, and the heavy repair overhaul facility. This has resulted in approximately $34.9 million in identified monetary benefits for WMATA. During the same period, our investigations team has worked through several administrative matters as well as criminal matters. I want to highlight the investigations team work on a healthcare fraud scheme. Thanks to their work, 6 WMATA employees pled guilty in DC U.S. District Court, as well as 2 WMATA employees have been indicted on federal charges and are pending trial. In addition, the investigations team issued a management alert related to improper procurement actions by a contractor. This led to WMATA's suspension of the contractor and resulted in approximately $17 million in monetary benefit to WMATA. I would sincerely like to thank WMATA management, particularly Randy Clark, and his message to his team as their continued commitment to our work, as well as for the board's continued commitment and faith in our office's work and future. Overall, I am looking forward to seeing what my talented team produces in the next 6 months. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to do an authorization for a public hearing for updates to our strategic transformation plan. Ms. Feldbauer.
Thank you. Good morning, Committee Chair Santos and Vice Chair Smudberg, members of the committee and the board. I'm Kimmy Feldbauer. I'm Metro's Chief of Staff and here today to request authorization for a public hearing for the refresh of our strategic transformation plan, Your Metro, the Way Forward. Your Metro, the Way Forward was adopted in 2023 and has served as Metro's strategy and actions over the next 5 years. As we update this plan, we continue to use this document to serve as both a long-term strategy and a tool for annual priority setting, as well as day-to-day decision-making. We have made significant progress in the past 3 years and feel that this is an appropriate time to refresh our strategic transformation plan to ensure that we are aspirational in our goals, objectives, and key results. So today, with the action item from the committee and the board, would request authorization to hold a public hearing on October 30th with the draft refresh strategic transformation plan. Over the past few months, we have actively engaged with Metro's board of directors, management, and all levels of staff and our external stakeholders to gain feedback on the progress of the plan for the past few years and use that input to shape how we update the strategic transformation plan going forward. This slide just highlights a few of the accomplishments that we've achieved in the past few years where we met and even exceeded some of our targets that we established in 2023. We have maintained Metro's highest ever rated customer satisfaction for rail and bus at over 85%. We launched the Better Bus Network this year, which is the first major bus network overhaul in 50 years. And we have identified over $532 million in cost savings over the past 2 years. We want to use these accomplishments as a groundwork for all that we have done, but also to move forward collectively in the region. As we work to shape what the strategic transformation plan refresh looks like, our primary focus is on reinforcing Metro as a world-class transit agency, elevating our focus on financial and organizational efficiency as a core goal, And then where regional partnership and long-term transit planning was one of our full goals in the original plan, we realized that it's a direct enabler across all of our goals rather than a standalone pillar. The organization has leaned into continuous improvement over the past few years, and we recognize that the work is never done, so have elevated continuously improving as a core value for the organization. And then thinking through how we emphasize community engagement through the plan activation and tying it to our capital plan. And lastly, streamlining priorities to empower our teams to focus on critical programs while achieving the ambitious goals we set in the targets. Metro's vision is guided by these 3 refreshed aspirational goals that we will use as the 3 pillars for the strategic transformation plan, which is service excellence, talented teams, and then financial and organizational efficiency. You may be familiar with this framework. While most of it remains, just wanted to call out a few of the updates that we've identified over the past few months. We've added, as noted, continuously improving as a new core value. We shifted regional opportunity to be a cross-cutting enabler as part of the activation of the plan. And then we renamed the final goal to be financial and organizational efficiency to reflect our continued focus on efficiency across the organization. And then we've updated objectives and key results to be more outcome-oriented. Our goals, as noted, have been refocused, and we've updated the objectives to reflect the progress that has been made to date, as well as new aspirations and priorities that we've decided on. Service excellence, the objectives remain mostly the same on safety and security, reliability and convenience. Talented teams, where the past 3 years we've really focused on recruitment and retention. We've added learning and development and customer service mindset as new objectives. And then reframing financial and organizational efficiency with a focus on financial stewardship, organizational efficiency, and energy management. Over the summer, we focused on reviewing current progress from the strategic transformation plan. We gathered feedback from interviews and workshops and identified potential updates. We are now in the drafting stage, updating our strategic plan, the language, the metrics, and socializing both internally, externally with the board and with all levels of staff. In the fall, we'll continue to socialize the plan both internally and externally, and then activate and implement the refreshed plan after adoption. This slide highlights some upcoming milestones. So here we are today, requesting authorization of the public hearing, and then spend about the next 6 weeks with ongoing staff engagement and engagement with our regional partners and community. And then in October through November, we'll have public comment period open on our Metro website. And then the proposed date for the public hearing for the strategic transformation plan is October 30th, with a plan to come back to you all in December for adoption of the updated strategic transformation plan. So with that, that is the completion of the presentation for today, where I will formally request authorization for the strategic transformation plan public hearing. Thank you for your time, and happy to answer any questions.
Paul, do you have a question?
Yeah.
I have a comment, which is, just wanted to say on behalf of, well, on behalf of the board, but that very much appreciate you, Kimmy, and also the rest of the team's efficiency in getting us organized around this refresh for the STP. The process went, I thought, very well this over the last several months, very smoothly, and I particularly appreciate the joint session we had with the senior team, where it was quite open-minded, very rigorous discussion, and very data-driven. And I think that it just felt reassuring to the board about the seriousness with which the whole team took the process. So this is great, and very supportive of moving this forward quickly. So thank you.
Great, thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
I was going to go ahead and move approval. Is that?
All right. If there are no more questions or comments, we need to take a vote. I'd like to move approval to authorize a public hearing on updates to the strategic transformation plan. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Seconded by Director Smedberg. I'll ask Ms. Ellison to call the vote.
Chair Santos,
Yes.
Vice Chair Smedberg,
Yes.
Director McAndrew.
Supporting.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
Great. Thank you. With no further business to come before the committee, we stand adjourned. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. McAndrew to begin the Finance and Capital Committee meeting.
Thank you, Chair Santos. Welcome to today's Finance and Capital Committee. Everyone, our first order of business is approve the agenda. I'd like to move to approve the agenda as presented. Are there any objections by members of the committee to the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. Now, to the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes of our September 11th meeting before us for approval. Are there any objections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved as presented. And thank you all. We have one update for today's agenda following up on our look back at Metro's financial performance in fiscal year 2025 just a few weeks ago. We'll get a preview of the proposed operating budget framework as we look ahead to fiscal year 2027, which begins next July, and we will review the key factors influencing budget recommendations for the coming year. Staff will follow up next month with a deep dive into Metro's capital program and come back then in November for a more detailed budget proposal for FY 2027. What all those words essentially means is budget season's back upon us. We're excited. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Alameda and Mr. Webster to get us going. Thank you.
When's the capital workshop?
October 9th.
October 9th.
When does budget season end?
I wish
Never.
we, biannual, let's do this biannual, everyone. Okay, anyway, thank you.
Good morning, Chair McAndrew and members of the board. My name is Yetunde Olumide. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Executive Vice President. And with me today is Tom Webster, Executive Vice President and Chief Planning and Performance Officer. Today, we will share a preview of Metro's FY27 operating budget. There are 5 key factors in planning for the FY27 operating budget. To further improve transparency and planning, this budget will move from a budget plus 1-year forecast to a budget plus 2-year forecast, covering FY27 through FY29. We continue to manage expenses consistent with overall operating subsidy growth limited to 3%. No fare changes are contemplated for FY27, but the FY28 forecast assumes a proposed fare increase consistent with proposing fare increases on a 3-year cadence. The last fare increase was in FY25. Ridership and revenue outlook has improved from the FY27 forecast originally provided when the board approved the FY26 budget in April. Staff will share revised revenue and ridership forecasts in November. Finally, the budget will rely on less capital funds to pay for operating preventive maintenance activities than originally proposed in the FY27 forecast back in April. This change will be part of the reforecast of ridership and revenue I mentioned earlier. For FY27, we identified key efficiencies and revenue opportunities on the left, which will be reinvested in several budget priority areas on the right. The return of automatic train operations, ATO, continues to make possible scheduling efficiencies that were not possible when the trains were under manual control. Some of these efficiencies were built into FY26 budget. The rest will be incorporated in FY27 budget. We expect additional efficiencies from optimizing bus schedules will also be incorporated. Metro is managing vacancies as well to reduce positions and better align staffing with operational priorities. Staff is working on a revised revenue forecast based on stronger than anticipated ridership growth in FY25. With these efficiencies and improved revenue opportunities, Metro will propose to reinvest funds to optimize services, support organizational development, and digital modernization. and also reduce the use of capital funding to pay the preventive maintenance related operating expenses. Key revenue drivers for FY27 include both passenger and non-passenger sources. Building on the strength of FY25 year-end results, the service enhancements, the outlook expects ridership to contribute to higher passenger revenues. Additionally, the enforcement of Metro bus fares will impact revenue generated. The outlook assumes no change in fares in FY27. Fare increases, as mentioned earlier, contemplated in FY28. Non-passenger revenue sources such as parking, real estate development, advertising, and infrastructure contracts will also play a significant role in developing the FY27 budget. On this slide, we outline key budget drivers for personnel and non-personnel expenses in FY27. Personnel costs are influenced by the current CBA with our unions, and the impact is primarily based on mandated general wage increases in the agreements. Non-personnel expenses such as inflation, energy costs, and paratransit services are also significant factors. Historically high inflation rates have increased base expenses, and the outlook for the inflation in FY27 through 29 suggests continued upward pressure. Energy costs, including diesel and compressed natural gas, are projected to increase based on historical spending trends. Paratransit services will continue to be provided through a mix of traditional and lower-cost alternative providers. As mentioned, the ridership and revenue outlook for FY26 is expected to be stronger than the FY26 budget approved by the board in April. Continued growth reflects investments in service and reliability, as well as increase in employees commuting to the office during the last quarter of FY25. Revenue has also shown a positive trajectory, reflecting the increase in ridership. This slide represents or presents the FY26 budget and 27 forecast from the April board approved budget. The blue area illustrates the improving outlook. Staff will return to this board in November with more specifics and a reforecast of ridership and revenue. Tom will now present potential service optimization options.
Thank you, Yetunde and Mr. Chairman and members of the committee and board. Again, I'm Tom Webster, Chief of Planning and Performance at Metro. As Yetunde mentioned, our team is continuing to take action to make our service more efficient and better for customers. We are identifying and implementing actions to reduce the unit cost of providing service, and then working towards reinvesting those savings in improved service for customers. So looking ahead to FY27, we are evaluating and considering some options for service improvements and service optimizations, made possible in large part by those efficiencies. So on the bus side, continuing to look at schedule optimization, reducing the amount of time that buses and bus operators are on the roads, not providing service to customers, so traveling to and from the beginning of routes, to maximize the usefulness of the service. Those types of savings can then be reinvested to add capacity, improve on-time performance, improve frequency on some of our growing high ridership corridors, and then adjusting the span or the time of day that service starts and ends on some routes to better align with travel patterns. On the rail side, as Yetunde mentioned, we initially in the FY26 budget, so our current budget, incorporated expected cost savings from the return to ATO and design speeds on the rail system. We were conservative in those estimates as we hadn't yet implemented when the budget was adopted most of the return to ATO on the system. We are seeing more savings and more efficiency than we budgeted for in FY26. So looking ahead to FY27 and our schedule changes this upcoming December and then in June, we anticipate more savings that could then be reinvested in improved service. So we continue to see ridership growth on rail essentially all days of week, all times of day, but particularly now in the peak periods, in the morning and the evening, and in the same places we've been discussing over the past couple of years. Red line in both directions as it approaches downtown, and on the blue, orange, and silver lines as they approach the west side of town in the morning and then returning in the opposite direction in the evening. So we're looking at concepts and opportunities to increase capacity and improve service there as ridership continues to grow. And then as we have for the past couple of years, looking at opportunities to improve service all day and all week. So looking at midday and particularly late night service for opportunities to improve at a relatively low unit cost or marginal cost to increase service. So more to come on this. This just a preview at this moment, but in the November and December timeframe, we will lay out essentially a multi-year plan for continuing to find efficiencies and reinvest in better service for customers. And then our final slide is just a schedule update. So we're here today. Next month, October 9th, we will be doing the capital program preview and a workshop there. And then back in November, and then eventually in December, the proposed FY27 budget and 6-year CIP, targeting board adoption in the March timeframe this year. So, Mr. Chair, that concludes our presentation. Happy to support discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll hold my questions and let my committee colleagues ask a few to start. Dr. Lowe?
This news about the savings on ATO is just like awesome. And so I just want to express my excitement. And I think the vision of working on continuing to drive down, improving unit cost is, I mean, I just commend the team because I think that's, to be able to move those numbers I know is really hard. Because, I mean, in the rest of my life, it just feels like everything is getting more expensive. So that's just great. I want to make sure that I understand on slide 23 where we are with ridership, just to make sure that I'm reading this correctly. So we have actuals through June. It's June of 2025. That's the end of actuals, and then it transitions to projections. And in terms of where we are with the actuals, on bus, we are now above the pre-pandemic level of ridership. So we have more bus riders than we had in 2019.
During the course of FY25, our last fiscal year, we were above pre-pandemic 2019 levels by a few percentage points, particularly driven by ridership on the weekends. Since June and the implementation and the network redesign, and our colleagues will be presenting in the next committee a little bit on this, we've seen a decrease as expected in bus ridership as customers learn the new network. And of course, there's other things going on in the environment here, but we've seen a slight decrease in the beginning part of FY26.
Okay. And then in terms of rail ridership, I want to make sure I understand where we are on crowding, because I have definitely noticed that I can't get a seat anymore, and that's okay. That's life. That used to be every day. I can get used to it. As you're looking at revising these projections, are we anticipating that, I mean, the service plan has changed a little bit, has changed from prior to the pandemic. How big an issue are we anticipating crowding to be if the ridership projections end up moving in this direction?
I think generally the crowding we expect will be manageable with the assets and the resources that we have. It is particularly acute during specific 45-minute to an hour periods on the lines and the directions that I mentioned earlier. So there are opportunities to increase the number of ACAR trains that are in service particularly during those time periods on those lines. And then there are opportunities to layer in some more frequency in those acute periods. We're not at the levels of crowding that we once saw where many people are left behind.
Yeah, like leaving people on the platform.
However, we're now planning for a period that ends in June of 2027. So we have to anticipate what growth might look like over that full time period. So that's the work that's happening right now.
Okay. I know post-bus network redesign that, and I think this was going on pre-redesign too, just like given where we are with bus ridership, that we are leaving people on the curb. How good is our data on bus overcrowding? Do we even know unless like someone calls to complain that we're leaving bus riders on the curb?
We do have very good data on numbers of customers on the bus. It is not real time at this stage. We're building towards that. So customer feedback is also certainly helpful, but we do have a sense of patterns and trends over time, and that's some of what we're doing this fall and looking ahead to next fiscal year is where there are places where we're potentially leaving people behind, adding some frequency in spots, and then where there are significant trends like that, looking to take a service that might be every 30 minutes down to every 20 minutes, or that might be every 12 minutes down to every 10 minutes, that type of incremental improvement to help with that issue.
Okay, that sounds good. Thanks.
Mr. Smedberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yatenda, you mentioned, or Tom, I'm not sure, I can't remember which one. Pardon me. There would be no fare change projected for this coming budget year. But what about any fare policy changes potentially on the table?
Thank you, sir, for your question. For the FY27 reforecast we're looking at right now, our focus is on ridership changes, not on specific policy changes. The last time we edited and changed fares were in FY25. The conversations at the time were centered around going to a 3-year cadence. And so as we do so, we're looking at a reforecast now, which will be shared in October, including both the ridership changes because of the strong ridership experience in FY25 and our experience in the first couple of months of FY26. We will reforecast that in FY28.
Thank you. But wasn't so much about a fare increase as it was when we went to flat fares starting at 9:30. That obviously helped with ridership. Are there any initiatives like that on the table potentially?
Not at this time, sir.
Thank you.
All right, opening up questions for folks outside of the committee. I've got Director Alcorn.
Thank you, Director McAndrew, Chair McAndrew. Real quick, I know we've had a lot of discussion regionally with the MV moves and the need for additional investment, particularly on our capital side. And I know we're going to be talking about that in October with that workshop. Basically, this is great news. Obviously, we're getting more passenger revenue and reinvesting that. Does this in any way change the overall need to have that discussion regionally?
No. Thank you for the question. I think DMV Moves has really zoomed in on the capital investment need, and as you said, we'll be diving into that next month. What this does do is, as DMV Moves started, we were anticipating a fairly significant operating budget gap and challenge moving forward. The cost savings, the efficiencies, and the revenue and ridership gains we've had have mitigated most of that issue. So as long as the capital investment happens and we continue the progress we've made, we have a relatively stable operating budget outlook here.
Very good. All right, thanks for confirming that, Tom.
Perfect. I've got, yes, Mr. Smedberg.
I had one other question. Tom or Sunday, any PM transfers on the table?
Yes, sir. We do have continued PM transfers on the table for FY27. However, we are currently assuming a reduction in those PM transfers from what you saw in the April timeframe. So in April, we did forecast FY27 PM transfers, and we're looking to take that down from what will be shared with the board in November.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair.
Chair Santos.
Thank you. Just a clarification question. Let's see on my slide 7, I guess. Next one after this one. There we go. Just to confirm, on a positive note, obviously there's tremendous efficiencies in bus operations that are ongoing improvements. Just to clarify, those efficiencies, will they basically cover any potential cost of what it says here, which is enhancing the span and coverage?
Yes, I think it's a bit more holistic than that. It is efficiencies across our whole organization that could be reinvested in service. But the idea is to take the efficiencies gained from bus and rail service and reinvest that in bus and rail service.
Excellent. And absolutely, this is we're just trying to clarify, because I know some of the questions is, are you all planning to expand? And no, we're keeping it within, the team is keeping it within the existing envelope.
2%?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. Close it out by just saying this is positive news. So hats off to the team, the collective WMATA unit that are delivering for the region. My particular question is one that I keep going back to, but bus fare ridership, it's great to see ridership up high. I think we still have an elevated fare payment concern there. So I'd love to get an update on how we're doing there. And, that's certainly something that, I will be wanting to talk about as part of the budget effort and what we can do. Seeing what some of our peers have done in other cities using superstars such as Cardi B to message how and why folks should be paying their fares for better service, calling all superstars in the DMV who want to also step forward. But anyway, back to the question, how are we doing on bus fares?
Okay. I'll go. Through August, just taking a look at non-TAP bus, comparing that to same period last year, we are about 12.3 non-TAP through the end of August. And looking at FY25, that number was up right about 16 million. What we continue to monitor, of course, there's enforcement throughout the system. And those numbers roughly translate to 11 and about $13 million last year. So there is improvement as we have worked on enforcement throughout the system year over year. So tremendous progress there. But looking at the span over the years, if we look at FY19 versus where we are today, obviously we're not collecting as much on bus revenues. Back in FY19, about $136 million. What we've collected in FY25, right about $56 million. So we still have a lot more work to do. As noted in a couple of weeks ago during the fare strategy presentation, well, part of what we discussed were inconsistencies in policy around the region, which also drives some of this type of ridership behavior, getting on the WMATA system versus another system and having to pay or not pay.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think, can we get back to the pre-pandemic days? We'll keep striving and keep improving. And I think the team's doing a great bit of work, and that's positive news on fare revenue. I was going to say, it's not because we view everybody should be policed to pay, but to be able to collect similar types of revenues, prices for operating have gone this direction in terms of, personnel, but it enables us to do what's on this slide, right? Those fare revenues enable us to provide more service, better service. And I think that's what folks are after when we do our surveys. They're really after frequent, reliable, all-day service. And I think that's what we're striving for. But how we get there and that push and pull on budget constraints and fiscal reality is important. So thank you.
Chair McAndrew, if I could add, we are seeing some very positive trends in the number of customers that are paying on bus. So underneath some of the top level data, if you look at customers who are tapping and paying on the bus, we've seen a 20% increase so far this fiscal year compared to last fiscal year.
Great.
That's nearly 500,000 trips more a month of customers paying. Now, the challenges remain of the large volume of customers who are not, but that is a very, very positive trend, and I think reflects on some of the work we've done on fare enforcement and communications. Fare required being on the head sign of the bus. We'll obviously continue to monitor this, but through almost the first quarter this year, it's very positive.
That's great. That's great. Hats off to everybody that's been involved. And I think, let's continue to think creatively outside the box and see where we can land. Thank you. And with that, the committee has no further business to come before us, and we stand adjourned. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Alcorn to begin the Safety and Operations Committee meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. So welcome everyone to today's Safety and Operations Committee meeting. Our first order. All right, better. Okay, our first order of business is to approve the agenda. So we have the agenda in front of us for approval. Are there any objections by members of the committee to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. So we also have minutes. We have the minutes of our September 11th meeting. Any objections to the minutes as presented? Okay, seeing and hearing none, we'll consider the minutes approved. So we have one major item on today's agenda for the committee, and it's an update on Metro's Better Bus Network. Slightly alliterative there, following the launch of the new network over the summer. So given the extensive changes that Metro implemented to the bus network, we wanted to take this opportunity to review both the new network's performance as well as Metro's outreach and engagement efforts. So the board and management would also like to thank our customers, partners, and staff for helping to make this launch such a success. This is a really big change. This is a really big deal. And I know a lot of people did a lot of work to get us there. So at this point, I'd like to turn the floor over to Allison Davis, Metro's Senior Vice President of Planning and Program Development, to start us off.
All right, thank you. And thank you, Chair Alcorn and Safety and Operations Committee members. So June 29th was not the end of Better Bus, it was just the beginning. And I know people are worried when I say that, but there were lots of lessons learned, lots of places that we can improve service. So we are committed to continuous improvement of bus service and customer information, and I think that we see a lot of opportunities for that. So I'm excited to be joined by my colleagues, Erica Cunningham, our Vice President of Community Relations and Outreach, and Joel Bell, the Assistant Chief Transportation Officer for Bus. And so we're going to be providing an update of the launch of Better Bus, how performance has been going, and kind of really what those next steps are. as my colleague talked about 2 presentations ago, the network redesign really touches on all parts of the strategic transformation plan, and that implementation of it was really the activation of a lot of the work that's been going on in the past 3 years through STP. So I was really excited to have that, get to cross that off on the list. And to follow that, we really, like on behalf of Metro, really want to thank our customers, operators, partners, board members, past and present, and Metro staff for coming with us on this Better Bus journey. Change is not easy. We talked about that a lot, and I myself see the change on the bus routes that I ride, and I recognize really the patience and the fortitude to keep showing up and riding over the past 3 months. And thank you again for all the feedback. We continue to get the feedback. We're reviewing it all, and that has really impacted some of the proposals that we're coming out with for FY27, as well as some of the work we've done now and for December. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Erica to talk about the launch.
Thank you, Allison. Good morning. Sorry, thank you, Allison. Good morning. The launch of the new Better Bus network was a huge success. Not only are we running 7% more service for the same funding, but by launch day, 74% of those surveyed customers were aware that changes were coming. Thank you. These numbers are a result of the high level of engagement and outreach that Metro conducted in the months leading up to June 29th. There were 376 outreach events and 250 elected officials and staff briefed. We did a lot of talking. 250 route profiles were created and available online in English and Spanish, along with 50 neighborhood profiles. And we distributed 450 take ones in 14 different languages. In addition, we fabricated and installed 8,500 bus flags and added 20,000 signs at eye level at every bus stop to ensure all riders were aware of the upcoming changes to the network. We blanketed the region with information. The engagement started, as Allison said, before the new network was adopted. Through Metro Message, a quarterly virtual meeting, and regular emails, we engaged over 3,000 community partners and stakeholders. Of those partners, 109 volunteered to be Better Bus partners who helped spread the word at their facilities and through their websites, social media, and communication platforms with their respective target audiences. One of the things I'm most proud of is how Metro's office-based staff jumped in to form what we affectionately call the Better Bus Squad to staff the 376 events we held. We had 460 staff from across the organization, which was the largest volunteer team in over 10 years. Finally, we knew that back to school would be a big deal since many DC public school students use the bus to get to school. We participated in a number of events, including the Mayor's Back to School event and the DCPS Summer Operations Institute to ensure that staff and DCPS leadership were aware of the new network. We also held 10 bus stop chats on the first day of school to make sure students and parents knew what to do. We didn't want to leave the kiddos behind. As expected, customer comments increased and peaked about launch day as customers reached out for information about their trips and to provide feedback. At the close of August, Metro's call center had received over 5,200 calls and texts. A little over half had been about crowding, delays, and general service. 20% were about a bus stop, 20% were about a bus stop and customer information, such as incorrect flags or stops that customers thought should still be serviced, and 10% shared comments about the alignment of the route. In mid-July, we also provided operators with an ongoing survey form so they could submit comments after their shift. They are truly our eyes and ears and boots on the ground daily. We have received over 200 comments since mid-July from our team. About half of them have been about the runtime, either too short or too long. 30% noted challenging stops, locations, or incorrect flags. And 25% provided feedback about the route design or alignment. Metro staff is reviewing all comments to help guide changes to the network.
So this helps us, like all that feedback helps us really guide a lot of the proposals. And I want to say that we have been able to make changes within the existing budget, within the existing service that we're running. These are some examples of routes that we've changed. I'm not going to talk through all of them, but it really is a testament to our customers, to our operators who have kind of called in and noted some of these changes. So for example, the C63, which connects Deanwood to Washington Hospital Center, and it's a very new route that we did not have before. It is now serving both of the bus loops at the hospital complex. So both the MedStar, which it was, but it's now going into the VA Medical Center as well. The C83 now serves directly to the Knollwood retirement community. That was a lot of feedback we got. And then we were able to really shift. We did get comments about certain streets that we were operating on and concerns from operators about safety with bidirectional traffic and everything. So we were able to shift some of those routes. And then to Erica's point, and I think Joel will talk a little bit about this, but we did, seeing when school started, seeing where we had crowding from the students as well as adult commuters or adult trip makers, we were able to add a bit more service to combat that crowding. And not only service, we're really focused on that customer experience and information, right? So we did push out new data, so onboard announcements, the MetroPulse and third-party apps that people use to know when the next bus is coming. We corrected information at the end of July and then again in mid-September. And so that is just a way to make sure that the information that's being provided is accurate and, customers know what to do and where to go. The maps and bus bay maps, we've been going through and covering outdated signage. There's a lot of bespoke signage out there in the system. So we are working on we've put out temporary bus bay signage, and then we'll be working for a more permanent operation or more permanent solution. And then finally, bus stop flags. We've corrected about 215. We've also been removing flags from stops that are no longer served. I will say there are probably still some out in the wild. So if anyone sees them, please put in, please call the call center and let us know. We are driving each of the routes, but people who are on the ground across the region will see them faster than we will. So I appreciate any of that information. And then, for example, we've been relocating the e-paper signs so that from stops that are no longer served to stops that are served. We are also relocating some stops, like for example, the C53 at Pennsylvania Avenue and 8th Street Southeast to just better ensure pedestrian access to those stops. So again, the continuous improvement is definitely the name of the game. Going to turn it over to Jewel for talking about performance.
Good morning, Chair Alcorn and board members. I'm Joel Bell. I'm the Assistant Chief Transportation Officer for BUS. When we launched the new network, there was a short operation adjustment period, but overall transition has been smooth. Reliability is moving in the right direction. Both on-time performance and service delivered are trending up as operators and customers adapt. Operator availability is still a pressure point, but we're seeing more improvement. We're continuing to analyze ridership data. In July and August, ridership was about 8% lower than the same months last year. Ridership declines were expected as customers take time to adjust. This is like what peer agencies experienced when they launched the new network. Additionally, This follows the trends that started in the spring when prior to launch, we started seeing some route level ridership declines. We're continuing to monitor trends and starting to see some stronger ridership in September. Customers are already seeing tangible benefits. Almost half of the trips, 47% now come with scheduled waits of 12 minutes or less, compared with 44% under the old network. The new C11 is creating stronger links between DC and Maryland job and retail centers with more than 4,000 trips to the National Harbor. That's a 50% increase. And the P12 weekend service to Laurel has been embraced right away, nearly 3,000 trips in the first month. System performance today is consistent with last summer and steadily improving. After a brief dip right at launch, on-time performance quickly rebounded. Customer comments spiked in the first week, but have since declined week over week, showing riders are adjusting. Prediction tools remain strong, with availability holding steady and accuracy improving as on-time performance rises. Since the launch, service delivered has started trending in the right direction. While operator shortages, as mentioned before, remain a challenge, the overall level of missed trips is similar to last summer. We always see increase in July and August as operators take vacation during lower ridership months. Looking forward, we're expanding training class sizes from 55 to 75 in FY26 to build a larger pipeline of operators and to further strengthen service delivery.
All right, so as we look ahead, we are committed to improving performance and incrementally increasing service. So the changes that I had noted a couple slides ago, those are within the running times that we have, the kind of budget that we have right now. But as we look ahead to December and then for FY27, we are really focused on improving performance. So that is that critical crowding. I think in the last presentation, my colleague Tom Webster talked about this, but that's really, we see it, between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning, we see crowding. So it's adding a trip here and a trip there, or maybe adding an earlier trip or a later trip because we see a lot of crowding at the first or last trip of the day. So that's really focused, like a targeted improvement there. It's increasing frequency, so it's taking those service that's maybe every 30 minutes and moving it to 20 minutes, right? We see that has a big increase in opportunity to increase ridership right there. So it's making those types of improvements. And then finally, consistent service. When we created the final network, we had to add in some short turns to stay within budget. So it's really kind of trying to remove some of those short turns so that people have that consistent service at more times of the day or more times of the week. So that's generally the direction we're going. The right side talks about some of the December service changes that we are looking at. So we were awarded a Virginia Commuter Choice Grant that comes out of the I-66 and I-395 money, or toll revenue. So that will be advancing the A25, which is peak frequency on the A25, and then a new peak route on the A29, and that's connecting parts of Alexandria with the Pentagon or into downtown, and then making some of the running time adjustments, spot fixes, and then routine adjustments. Something like the Landmark Transit Center is coming online this fall, so we will make those connections, and that's typically what we do for December. All right, so finally, next steps. How are we building that better bus system going forward? So again, monitoring performance, ridership, really digging into the data now that we've moved out of summer and we're into a more consistent ridership, and looking at the December service changes that I just mentioned, and then working with you on the FY27 service improvements. We've got a lot of opportunity for how we better manage bus stops, flags, and signs, right? There were lots of lessons learned as we did that work within the past year. And then focusing on more permanent flags and signs. And then I know Erica and her team are super excited to really push forward on all of that work that we garnered and partnerships that we garnered within the organization here at Metro, as well as working with community partners and really seeing how we can keep that connection going. So with that, happy to answer any questions that you have.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that very thorough presentation. Just a couple quick thoughts from me, and then I'll see if there are committee member questions and then other director questions. So again, all done within the existing budget. So that's really impressive. And the emphasis on performance improvements, the emphasis on learning and then adapting, not just what the transformation did historically, but going forward. I'm very impressed with that. I think that's the right way to go. You know, the continuous improvement approach is something I think a lot of organizations would really benefit from. So I do very much appreciate that emphasis. And I just want to flag one other thing that others might not recognize how impressive that 74% awareness is. But, you know, you have to recognize that we're competing with every company out there that's trying to sell any sort of consumer good or service for attention. And getting 74% awareness on anything is super impressive. So, you know, thank you to the staff, the management, to actually make that happen. And again, really appreciate what you started off with, Allison, which is this is really the start of improving the system. And so it's, I think, an excellent start. Other questions, comments from committee members? Director Jarvis.
Thank you, Chair Alcorn. I just have to say that I concur with your comments regarding your presentation and the contents. Very impressive, and I applaud you and say continue success. So thank you very much.
All right, very good. So open it up first, Director Smedberg.
Thank you. Allison, what is the Better Bus network? You know, you've listed the things here, but how are we going to see that? What does it mean? How is it going to be operationalized? And is it more internally focused now? I guess it looks like pretty much.
So I think it's two things. I think you may remember we had a visionary network as part of, you know, as we were going through the whole planning, and that was really pushing, like, what do we, and working with the jurisdictions, what do we think bus service needs to be? Level of frequency, hours of operation, connections that need to be made. And that was not revenue neutral, not budget neutral, right? So it is very much, we are working incrementally year over year to get to keep moving towards that visionary. That's not to say that, you know, 5 years from now that exact map will show up, but it is, we are, you know, learning from opportunities, changes to be made, and kind of incrementally moving service. But we know that frequency drives ridership. That consistency of service also really drives ridership. And so really looking to year over year through our budget, through those savings that my colleagues just talked about, how we can drive that into better service. So that's the first piece. And then with, you know, more permanent information out in the system, having it be, you know, I think of the bus bay maps, and a lot of those are in stations, kind of away from where the bus bays are. So how do we pull that information and get it out to where customers are, so that we make buses easier to use and more legible, like we have for the rail station. So I think there's like internal work that we need to do, but there's also a focus on the service itself.
Yes, Mr. Clark, do you want to jump in?
Mind if I add a comment to that? So I'm really glad you brought that up, because one, it's building to that visionary network. Obviously, that can be very incremental, because obviously it's more money every year. But it's also working with our partners on things like bus priority lanes, right? So Better Bus, the network was one component, if you all remember, on Better Bus, right? And so priority lanes, queue jumps, floating bus stops, variety of that type of infrastructure across this region really helps with accessibility, reliability, and frequency. Another part is our Tap Ride and Go on bus, which we're working on and hope to launch this fall. So again, that would be another component. So it's really a whole menu of things to say, we want the bus system to be a priority and continue to get better. And the service frequency in the network is one component of it. Training our operators, as Jewel mentioned, is a big part of it. So we don't drop trips, and we have that very good consistency of high training and quality of delivery, how we're managing at our control center daily, bunching and gapping. So all of this data prediction, Judd's working really heavily with the maintenance team right now to get better data, to do better predictive algorithm maintenance so we can get a bus off the line before we know something goes wrong. So it's just a suite of things. So I'm really glad you brought that up because I think a lot of people think about the network, and the network is kind of like the, I don't know, the Dr. Lowe would come up with a better analogy than me, I think, on this one. But you know, the big part of the plate and all these other components make it better. So I know you would come up with a better analogy. I won't go there. Thank you.
Yeah, and I asked that question, Allison, and Randy, because thinking of some of the conversations at DMV Moves, and how does this lead or help, spur some of these regional cooperative developments that could take place, that it would be beneficial not only for Metro but for others as well, and a regional bus network and bus lanes and priority signalization and stuff like that. So
great, thank you, Dr. Lowe.
I already came up with it. It's the eating at Benihana. Remember? Get past the rice to the shrimp. That's a lean protein. Okay, it's essential. Okay. You said better bus network, and I just love it. I have just a couple questions. I remember the team sharing some stat with me about how the Better Bus Network has changed the amount of deadhead that's involved in bus operations. And it stuck in my head because that is like such a key metric for getting at this concept of how to improve the unit cost of operations, because deadhead is wasteful. Can you remind, but I can't remember the stat. And so now I'm like, oh no, I can't share it with anyone or cite it. Can you remind me one more time?
I don't have it off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's like,
yes,
but it's like, it's a goodie. Can we like
Yes.
resurface that and
Yes.
circulate?
Yes.
Okay, I want to work on getting that one to like the top of my tongue because it was so good. And now I just have a petty personal question. What's happening with the old bus flags?
So we
physically.
reused a lot of the bus, like when we would. So it's not that there are none.
Okay,
We
no,
do have
recycling
some,
is
but
great.
this was a reuse of existing
Okay.
flags. We would take them, strip them, refabricate, put them back up.
Okay, that's very frugal.
Yes.
I had like a vision of like collectibles. It's fine. No, it's fine. That's very frugal. If there were any that couldn't be reused, just let me know.
That metal has value, by the way, but go ahead.
We will
Mr.
we will figure that out. To your point about deadhead efficiency, and I know we've talked about this before. One of the things that I think the team I'm probably the most proud of on the bus for efficiency is we are now running more service after we cut over 100 buses from the fleet. So just really put that in perspective. We took 100 bus units out of our maintenance program and our fleet, and we're running more service.
And how much does a bus cost?
A brand new bus range, a 40-foot bus ranges probably anywhere between 900,000 and 1.4 million, maybe give or take.
Million.
2 million for the most expensive ones. And now we're looking at on the rail side too, try to how to analyze our fleet utilization and can we retire any 3Ks earlier because of fleet optimization. So again, we're all focused on efficiency and cost per unit and the higher reliability of the vehicles that are out there. So I just want to remind, like that to me is an incredible point of why these networks work so well together in fleet management.
Outstanding.
Okay, very good. If no other questions, then we will stand adjourned, but we're going to take a brief 5-minute break before the beginning of our board meeting. Thank you.
Good morning, almost good afternoon. I'm Valerie Santos, Chair of the Metro Board. Thank you for being here. We'll begin with the approval of the agenda. Okay. I'd like to consider the agenda approved as presented. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Thank you. We have 6 sets of minutes for approval. There is the board meeting, the special board meeting, the executive session from July 10, and then also the executive sessions from August 11, August 27, and September 11. I'd like to consider these minutes approved as presented. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Thank you. Okay, now, one of my favorite parts of board meetings, our employee spotlight. Whitney Nichols, Vice President of Communications, has been named Mass Transit 40 Under 40 Award winner. Whitney, please stand. So since joining Metro, Whitney has transformed the way we engage with our community, building a strong digital presence for Metro that has become nationally recognized, including a, 347% increase in Instagram engagement and several viral campaigns that have reached millions of followers. The 2 campaigns, my favorite one, Director Lowe was reminding me of as well today, is the one highlighting station manager who's helping customers when there was heavy rains, unanticipated flooding in the station. And it's cool that it's viral, but even cooler is it highlights the culture of Metro and we're one community. And then, of course, the really fun one, I think it's like Men in Finance or something. Anyway, Whitney leads the team responsible for Metro's public relations, media outreach, and growing our social channels, ensuring dissemination of accurate and timely information for our customers on a continuous basis. She has redefined Metro's social media voice, making it more relatable, engaging, and most importantly, reflective of the communities we serve. And beyond all the numbers, she's helped make Metro a key part of our region's culture. I would argue a region's identity, our region's brand, connecting places, people, and stories. Her creativity, leadership, and mentorship of her team are building a communications program that others in the industry look to emulate. We are very proud to celebrate Whitney's accomplishments and the well-deserved recognition she has earned with this award. Congratulations on behalf of the board, and please join us up front for pictures. For a public comment and reports by our advisory bodies. First, we will turn the floor over to anyone who's here in person that is signed up to provide comments, and I believe Ms. Denise Rush is the one person. Ms. Rush?
Hello, everyone. My name is Denise Rush. I'm keeping my mask on because I haven't been out in many, many, many months, and I don't want you to get sick or me to get sick. I am the vice president of the AAC, and I am the vice president of the Federation for the Blind, and I am the vice president for Metro Access. Many of you already know me, and those who don't, hello, glad to see you. Randy, Mr. Randy, are you here? I am, yeah. Okay, I only have one question. I haven't been here this year. I've been out for quite a while. I've been sick, and I'm getting worse, but I don't see the map for the bathrooms, and I have to have them. Everyone who uses the metro bus, or the metro rail especially, needs to know when they have accessible bathrooms. And I asked you a year ago, what's the problem?
Hi. So I'm sorry that if we haven't fully addressed that. So I'm this afternoon I'll talk. I know Sarah Meyer. I think you've interacted with Sarah many times. She's back. I'll ask her to talk to you, and then I'll talk to the team later today. I actually talked to 2 station managers yesterday about restroom access. So I hope we've solved part of the problem at least, but I will check with the team and we'll follow up directly with you on that.
I appreciate it, but it's been over a year. I don't think I have many more years left, but the ones that I have, I need to use the restroom. And also, another question I have, I know you are I'm very proud that you've gone up with the amount of rides for the rail. I want to tell you that I'm proud of that. But what I want to know is, what are you going to do about the accessibility in PG Plaza? Thank you.
Yeah, I think on that last comment, that was brought up multiple times. I think Pat next to you actually brought that up with former board member Drummer. And I think there's some work being done in Prince George's County specific to that. Some of it related to Metro and some of it related to Prince George's. So I don't know, Board Member McAndrew, if you've heard anything updated on that, but I'm certainly be happy to follow up with that topic as well where we are.
I think that there is a conversation that is happening concurrent to today's board meeting on that matter. So,
okay. Well, great seeing you back, Denise, and we'll follow up with both of those. I know Pat really cared about that, the second topic as well.
I think that's it for in-person speakers, right? Yes. Okay, so we didn't receive any comments in advance, so that concludes our public comment period. And thank you, Ms. Rush, for providing comments today. Next, we will hear from Accessibility Advisory Committee Chair Pat Sheehan. Mr. Sheehan, welcome.
Great. Yes, thank you. All right, thank you very much for letting me speak to you for a couple of minutes. I wanted to first start off by congratulating WMATA with their APTA award. I thought that was pretty amazing. everything that's been accomplished with customer satisfaction, safety, extension of all the services, particularly in bus and rail. The numbers that keep going up every month with, what is it, 54, 56 straight months of more ridership, which is just amazing. So congratulations on that. Well-deserved. I think it speaks to a great team. The WMATA staff that we work with every day, the board that gets the job done, Randy, just tremendous leadership. So well done and well earned. And I think the recognition is deserved. Earlier this week, on Tuesday, we lost one of our members from the AAC, Thomas Mangrum. He was from DC, wheelchair user. He actually, a couple of years ago, helped organize a site visit to New York so that he could test the 8,000 gangway series cars that they have, or the gangway cars that we're getting here, to make sure that people with who were in wheelchairs could maneuver around the train, get in and out safely. And he had quite the network within Washington, D.C. of other wheelchair users, so he will be greatly missed on the AAC. Couple of areas that we worked with over the last couple of months. Better Bus Network, which you've heard was presented here. We had a report by Al Himes, and pretty much the same thing. We didn't see any issues, particularly with the disability community. We gave some remarks with respect to, I think, certain routes and signage. We've got a good team of people that are working to help make sure that signage is readable, both for low vision individuals and seniors, and color conscious things like that are going to be workable and effective and efficient. So we appreciate that. Working with Sarah has been terrific, and so no issues there. With respect to Metro Access, we are working to ensure that the on-time performance, which seems to bounce up and down a little bit, is up in the 90s. So we're working towards that. In a recent report that we received, 60% last year, I think it was 2.6 million rides. Over 60% of them were abilities ride, which is just amazing. I wish we could get the on-time performance for the abilities rides into the statistics that we have, because I think would be well over 92% on time. But the efficiency rate, I think, has just been incredible. Individuals are very pleased with the abilities ride program, and of course all the money that's being saved with the difference between $100 a ride versus $30 a ride is being plowed back into capital improvements, operational improvements back into the system. So congratulations on that. We're looking to increase, I think, a little bit the abilities ride program, getting some specialized services for people, particularly for people that are using service animals and other mobility rides within the area. They're looking to implement artificial intelligence in the call center so that trips can be routed more quickly and it can be more efficient. So we're looking at all of that. We have had reports from Jordan Holt from Metro Access issues that are that are specifically Metro Access issues, and those have worked their way through a work plan that we're looking where the bottlenecks are and using her data to see how we can improve things. We've also done the same thing with bus and rail. And so kudos to Jordan for not only coming to this group, coming to our AAC meetings to give reports, and then coming down to our subcommittee at the subcommittee level to talk specifics about Metro Access and bus and rail. That's one of the reasons why you received the APTA award, because you have people like that just do a great job. Finally, I think there's probably one or two things I'm missing, but I will say with the final DMV Moves project, Accessibility Advisory Committee was really thrilled to be part of that effort. It allowed us to get an idea of what is being done regionally, where the efforts are going to be made. We appreciate accessibility and the disabled perspective being part of the solution going forward. We know that it's important that it is from the disability community from our side, but having the board and having the ability to talk to the movers and shakers at the senior level really makes a difference. It's good to be part of the team. That's about all I have for now. We've got a lot of work going forward. Oh, lastly, Prince George's County. We did receive a report from Mr. Iponte. We got a hold of their transit vision plan with milestones. We're going to be looking to bring that forward to our bus and rail committee. We have a working group that is focused on that. So we'll be looking at bus improvements. I think over the next 6 months, we're going to see some infrastructure improvements, that being sidewalks, lighting, bus stops. And so we're looking at things down to that level. Well, we're also trying to ensure that the microtransit part of the solution that they have in place is going to be expanded so it'll hopefully expand it out 6 or 7 days a week, and the time of operation will be expanded from 10 to 3 to something like 7 to 5, with maybe even evening and weekend services if we can stretch it that far. But we'll be working with them. We appreciate the support of this board in ensuring that that gets extended within the available resources. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thanks. I think Director Smedberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Patrick, it was really great to see you at the DMV Moves activities on Monday. I think it was really important that you were there. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
And glad to hear you found it.
Yes.
Wild. Yeah.
Yes, there was.
I had fun sitting next to you on the train.
Yeah, it was great. I appreciate all the discussions. A lot of smart people. I slept well that night, I'll tell you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pat. You have always such thoughtful and very specific comments, which is helpful for us. I'll now call on Mr. Cole Stout to share the RAC report.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present this month's Riders Advisory Council report. I'd like to echo what Pat said at the beginning of his remarks on congratulating all of WMATA on the APT award. I think it's fitting that when I got on the train to come down here, that's the train that pulled into the station, so I got to ride it down. And I think it just speaks highly of everything that this team does here in the building and throughout the system. While we didn't have a meeting in August, much like last summer, we took the opportunity to go exploring around the WMATA system, and we took some members of the RAC out to the new Bladensburg bus garage, and started here at Metro headquarters and got a nice little private shuttle out to the Bladensburg bus garage, and got to meet with some of the incredible staff out there. And kind of seeing a bit of behind the scenes of what it takes to get a bus from the garage to the route, and then all of the maintenance and all the scheduling that it takes to deliver the service that we get to talk about here in this room. And we saw here what it looks like, what a driver's seeing when they come in to get their route, to get their schedule, and a bit see where they get to hang out when they have a little bit of downtime. And moving out into the maintenance facilities, I think the whole RAC was really excited to see how quickly the maintenance staff is able to turn around some of these things. We did ask the most commonly replaced part, and it happens to be a bumper, mostly from drivers who aren't paying attention, not bus drivers, but car drivers who can't see a big red bus in front of them. And so it was really great to see the facilities, first-rate facilities for a first-rate transit agency. And I think the work that this board has done over many, many years to make these facilities happen is what delivers the really great service that riders in our region have come to expect and rely on. And so talking about that great service, we got to talk a bit about Better Bus at our September meeting. And much like the update you got today, we heard about how the rollout has been going so far. A lot of RAC members had some feedback on ways Metro can continue to improve, and much of that focused around the signage throughout the system, which we know is going to continue to get better as time goes on. We also spent some time talking as a group about issues we want to focus on coming into the fall and winter. And a lot of that will revolve around the budget. I think we want to take a particular interest in the capital budget, kind of coming back to the comments I think I made over the summer about how we have to address some of these longstanding issues that continue to plague the system with signaling to kind of continue to bring our rail network forward. We also took some time to thank Bryna for her being the board liaison to the RAC for as long as I've been on there, which has been, 3 or 4 years now. Always a constant force in kind of guiding us as volunteers to make sure that we're connecting the rider experience to feed into what this board is talking about and discussing. And then we'll be here October 8th, 6 p.m. for our quarterly in-person meeting here at Metro headquarters. And I think one thing I didn't include in my written report that I would be remiss to not discuss, I think we've had a lot of comments from riders about the federal law enforcement and National Guard presence throughout the system. We don't really, as a RAC, we understand that there's a wide variety of opinions about federal law enforcement's presence throughout the system. I think what we would ask of the board and management is better communication to riders about what WMATA is or is not doing with these law enforcement agencies, what riders can expect from law enforcement throughout the system, whether that's on buses, on train platforms, in stations. There seems to just be a lot of confusion throughout there. And I know that WMATA is not necessarily the ones driving the train here, but I think as the transit agency, I think there is a little bit of responsibility to this team to ensure that riders understand what situation they're putting themselves into when they walk into a station or get onto a bus. And that's been a big kind of topic of discussion within the RAC. So kind of nuanced, and I didn't feel I could properly express it in my written report. But that is it for my update this month.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you very much for your very thoughtful comments, particularly on these challenging topics. And with that concludes our advisory.
Valerie,
Yes.
sorry, just as an FYI to everyone, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm going to visit the RAC at their October meeting to just catch up with everyone and sync on some of these topics because it's time for some FaceTime.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our advisory body reports. Now on to the chair's report. So first of all, just want to thank our many regional stakeholders and partners who participated in the Monday gathering, the DMV Moves Tour. I've heard excellent feedback from a number of people that were present, and it's great that so many people were able to invest and willing to invest time out of their days to listen and learn about the issues and to come together around the vision for next steps. And with that, I would like to invite my fellow board member, Director Smedberg, who co-chairs the DMV Moves initiative, to please share his perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I too thought it was a very good event. And I hate to call it an event because it really wasn't, like I said, I mean, people were there to really learn and engage and ask questions. I too heard a lot of very positive feedback from people who were there about the day. And it really helped them put into perspective. And I know it was one of our objectives was to give people the opportunity to understand the complexity of this organization, the challenges, but also the opportunities. And I think that really came through. I think one of the most important things that I saw that day personally, I was in group A. We had three groups, I think it was, right, Tom? 3 groups? Yeah. And the exchange, Randy, you had with elected leaders from Virginia, Maryland, and the district, and others. Tracy, you were there in my group. And it was a really, really good exchange. And I think the discussion we had and the job you did, which I thought you did a really good job, Randy, explaining, sort of the current environment, financially and otherwise, was really, really helpful. But I also think it was really helpful for the participants to see it isn't just, Randy Clark, Tom Webster, and Teresa Empasado. It's all these other people that make up this organization and that are really, true professionals. And I think that too gave people a perspective into this organization. So overall, I think it was really, really helpful and a very, very positive thing as we are heading into the final stretch, so to speak, for DMV moves. So I think it happened at a really, really critical and important time in the group's deliberations.
Thanks, Paul. And thanks also for your ongoing leadership about this initiative. It's been quite an investment of everyone's time. So next, September marks the beginning of Metro's annual budget season, which, as we were joking earlier, I think budget season is just, I don't think it ever ends. It's perpetual. But September is the start of the official budget season, and it's a critical time when we plan and align our resources to meet the needs of the region. So today, obviously, we are focused on the operating budget. Next month, we will turn our attention to the capital budget. And obviously, our goal is to continue delivering safe, reliable service while being responsible stewards of public funds. And this budget process is not about numbers, it's about priorities. And that means that public engagement will be central to this process because part of the budget process is to listen to our riders, employees, and stakeholders to understand what matters most. And we know, we as the board, know that decisions that we make here, whether it's about service levels or prioritizing among capital projects, can affect many people's daily lives, which is why transparency and inclusivity will guide this process. So as we move forward, we remain committed to ensuring a safe and efficient transit system for the entire region. And thank you very much in advance to people who will participate in the public process. Next, I want to recognize that we are in the midst of Hispanic Heritage Month, which is a time when we proudly celebrate and honor the rich cultures, histories, and contributions of Latino and Hispanic communities across our region and the nation. Hispanic and Latino residents are an essential part of our vibrant metro community, and their stories and voices help shape the fabric of our service area. At WMATA, we are committed to fostering an environment that reflects the communities that we serve, and we recognize the valuable contributions of Hispanic and Latino employees within WMATA who play a continually crucial role in delivering safe, reliable, and efficient transit services every day. Our mission is to connect people to opportunities, and through our services, we aim to support the mobility and economic growth of communities throughout our region. As we honor this Heritage Month, we renew our commitment to our mission, ensuring that WMATA continues to be a transportation system that serves and respects all. So thank you to everyone who helps make WMATA a more welcoming place. Next, I would like to note that there will be one public board day next month on October 9. There will not be a meeting on the 23rd. This concludes my report, and I will turn the floor over now to our general manager for his report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to start off with, I know we acknowledged earlier, and I really appreciate both of our advisory committees mentioning the awards that we were able to receive last week up in Boston at the APTA annual meeting. I can't say enough about how proud I am of this team and the 13,000 individuals that have worked so hard. And for Metro, this has been almost 30 years since recognized as a top agency in North America. And for us to be back at that top really shows, I think, that the cumulative effort of the board, staff, our stakeholders, our partners, and where we're back to being. Clearly, the job's not done. That's never done, but a nice moment, I think, to recognize everyone's hard work. We also, we kind of cleaned up at the award ceremony this year. We also won what they call AdWheel, which is for marketing award, and we won for the big national award for outstanding partnership for Better Bus. So just an overall, I think, nice chance for Metro to get some recognition from the industry and our peers, and just really appreciate literally everyone's hard work. We're doing a little bit of fun out with the staff. We got pins, a little bit of a sweet treat, and we, as Cole mentioned, we do have some wrap vehicles out there and decals, just highlighting that to the public at large. I'm not sure, Madam Chair, did you want to mention anything? No? Okay, thank you. A nice fun thing is, as I highlighted, that this award really is not just about people that work at Metro, the board and the staff at Metro. To me, it is the whole community, right? Our key stakeholders, people that help pay the bills at this organization, our partners that help us with bus priority or help us with law enforcement in the region. There's so many people that have a vested interest in this organization working well because it fuels the region. And we have a little video to play of a lot of elected officials, not all, there's so many elected officials, but a group of elected officials wanted to congratulate Metro on this award, and we're going to be putting some social out on this. And I think this is just nice to show how much elected leadership support around this region that we actually have. So I guess we can cue up that video.
Hey everybody, Senator Tim Kaine here. Congratulations to WMATA for earning APTA's most prestigious recognition, Transit Agency of the Year. From Arlington to Alexandria, from Fairfax to the district in Maryland, WMATA connects our communities. And to the frontline workforce, this award has your fingerprints all over it. To the entire WMATA team, congratulations and thanks for all you do.
Your work ties the entire DMV together, and I'm proud to be your partner in that mission.
Marylanders and local residents trust you to move us around the DMV. Visitors trust you to get them to their destinations. We trust you because you do it safely, you do it efficiently, and you do it sustainably.
I've always called WMATA America's subway. How fitting that it is now being recognized as America's best metro of 2025.
Thank you for working every day to make our metro system better for everyone who lives here.
I've seen the great work WMATA has been doing, so please keep it up. And congratulations to everyone on the WMATA team for all the great work.
With record ridership, safer systems, and outstanding customer satisfaction, this win reflects your dedication and partnership across the region. Well-deserved, Metro.
It's amazing that our ridership is up on Metro, crime is down, and overall, we're one of the most successful transit agencies in the country. Good job, Randy, and good job, everybody at Metro. Let's keep it going.
This national award reflects your innovation and your commitment to building a more connected and more equitable region.
All right, Metro. In fact, the best transit system in the country. Well deserved. Congratulations, WMATA.
We know awards like this are about coming together and working collaboratively, and that's what you do at Metro. You serve our entire region, and we want to say thank you and congratulations on the recognition.
There we go. So I think, we appreciate all of our elected officials that support this organization for a long time and obviously currently. And there's many others that are obviously supportive well. So I know now that we recognize Whitney, they're going to make some social about this and get this out across the region to kind of celebrate this big win for the organization, for our community. Next up, I do want to highlight just quickly, as you mentioned, the tour on Monday, but I want to start off and just always publicly reiterate, one, our thanks to COG, Council of Government Partners, Clark, his leadership, Councilmember Allen for his role, and then, of course, Vice Chair Smedberg for his role. This has been 18 months, so we knew it wasn't going to be a quick effort, and I'm not sure everyone knew it was going to be this many touch points, but it's gone really, really well. And I think, as the Vice Chair said, we are certainly getting close. So this is just a couple of highlights. Obviously, I think the discussion on bus priority was really important. It highlights what we talked about today. Our signaling system, you've all been out to get to a train control room. I think many people have. I think that was incredibly eye-opening for a lot of people, how we need to desperately move from 8-track cassette to streaming. And we need to have some very big urgency on that for obvious reasons. Our kind of national leading control center, and then Silver Spring, I think, is a great example of great intermodal connectivity centers all over our region that bring everyone together. And here you got Board Member McAndrew doing a really good tour. And it's a good picture of him explaining where the silver line and the red line and Mark and 15 other things are all kind of coming together. So
Sorry, we need to acknowledge you missed one important transit line that's coming online soon. The purple line?
It's right there.
It's going to be Maryland's #1 light rail line.
The region's #1.
America's. It says right there, purple line. But yes, I'm sorry if I missed it verbally, but it is there, and we cannot wait to integrate. We're there to support all the way Team Maryland. So anyway, again, just reiterate, thanks to the board. There's a lot of people put a lot of time into this, but I'm kind of excited to see this kind of get to the final stages. So again, October will be our task force meeting. The idea at that task force meeting is the task force does the recommendations to the joint board. November, we have a joint board meeting, which is the last way that we started this thing. So the Metro board and the COG board. And ideally at that joint board meeting, there's a passed resolution that says we all agree on what the problem statement is, what we're going to try to accomplish, and that moves to the legislative session. And hopefully this time next year, we are celebrating the fact that we have a very good sustainable funding program go forward, and we're really getting deep dives into how we can accelerate capital program delivery for the next 20, 30 years. Then last thing I want to highlight is after Boston, I had the honor of representing us at the Transportation Infrastructure Committee up on the Hill. That was on Thursday, and I was joined by the FTA administrator. APTA was there. We had a police chief from St. Louis, the Transportation Trades Federation, and the whole meeting was focused on transit safety and security. And I want to just thank the committee chair and ranking member and all of the members. It was an incredible bipartisan conversation, and it happened to be a closed door, and then obviously there was media release afterwards. But obviously there was a tragic situation that happened in Charlotte where a woman got murdered, and so obviously I think that brought home the overall attention to safety, security in transit. And I just personally want to thank the leadership on the committee. Really wanted to highlight Metro and where we really are as a national lead on transit safety and security. It was a chance for them to reiterate that we are currently at an 8-year crime low and on pace for the lowest crime year we've ever recorded at Metro. Fare evasion down dramatically, and the overall perception of safety is up significantly. So it was a good event for Metro to be part of, and we're never going to stop working on this incredibly important topic. I think with that, Madam Chair, that is my report. I'm happy to obviously take any questions or comments from the board, but otherwise, I just want to thank the staff for their continuous good work.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Anybody want to comment, question? I think as it was a privilege and quite the learning experience to join you and other board members at the annual conference in Boston, and it's been such an honor to be able to see how Metro has really transformed in the last couple of years, and it's great that the peer set recognizes. So I appreciate you sharing that here in detail. All right, so next we're on to our committee reports and consent items. I'll turn the floor over to Mr. Alcorn for the report about safety and operations.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The following item was referred to the board at the September 11th Safety and Operations Committee meeting. It's on the agenda as item number A. Is really important, so I just wanted to flag that. Did I get that right, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, absolutely. If you strip away everything, this is about trust and an ability for everyone across the agency to report without fear of retaliation and knowing that we will respond in good faith and reduce risk.
Fantastic. All right, well, let's keep going. So with that, Madam Chair, I would move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Alcorn. We have a motion. Can I get a second? Second from Director Smedberg. Any further discussion? I will ask Ms. Ellison to call the vote, please.
Chair Santos?
Aye.
Vice Chair Smedberg?
Aye.
Vice Chair McAndrew?
Aye.
Director Lowe?
Aye.
Director Alcorn?
Aye.
Director Jarvis?
Aye.
Madam Chair, the motion passes.
Great. Great. Next, the following item was referred to the board at this morning's executive committee meeting, which is authorization for public hearing on updates to the strategic transformation plan. As was presented by Ms. Feldbauer, staff sought authorization to conduct a public hearing and associated outreach on updates to Metro's strategic transformation plan, or SDP. The SDP, which was initially adopted at the beginning of 2023, guides Metro's strategy and actions. The updates have been shaped by input from the board, Metro senior leadership and staff, peer transit agency peers, and community groups. If approved, the hearing would take place in late October with public comment open into early November. I move approval. Can I please get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Smedberg. Any discussion? I'll ask Ms. Ellison to call a vote.
Chair Santos.
Aye.
Vice Chair Smedberg.
Aye.
Vice Chair McAndrew.
Yep.
Director Lowe.
Aye.
Director Alcorn.
Aye.
Director Jarvis.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Great. Consent items. We have 3 items on the board's consent agenda today. I would like to move approval of the following. So first is authorization to implement enhanced A25 and new A29 service, amend the operating reimbursable budget, and adopt an amended Title VI report for 2025 Better Best Network service changes. Staff requests board authorization to implement enhanced bus service on Route A25, providing peak period service between Landmark Seminary Valley and the Pentagon, and establish a new peak period Route A29 connecting Van Dorn Street Metro to downtown DC. These service enhancements will be fully funded through the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission's and BTC's Commuter Choice Program. Staff also requests amending the reimbursable budget and Title VI report to include these services. Next item is the approval of Local 2 collective bargaining agreement. Staff is requesting authorization for our general manager to execute a new CBA with the Office and Professional Employee International Union, Local 2, for a contract from July 1, 2025 through June 30 of 2029. The last item is requesting approval to indemnify Amtrak. Staff is seeking board indemnification of Amtrak to allow WMATA personnel access to Union Station interlocking to complete critical track work. That is a lot. I move approval. Can I please get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Director Smedberg. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? These items are approved. Next are reports by the jurisdictions. Virginia, Director Smedberg.
I really don't have anything other than we had a WMATA committee meeting or monthly WMATA committee meeting along with our legislative and policy committee preparing for the coming legislative session.
Maryland?
We're going to tag team this one here today. We got a lot of good stuff happening in the great state of Maryland. On September 29th at 10 a.m., the Washington Suburban Transit Commission is hosting its biannual commission meeting. The information can be found on their website, but this is open to the public and the agenda is rocking. We're going to be talking about the Metro Access Strategy Study conducted by WSTC and opportunities to enhance services within the state. We're also going to talk about a forthcoming TOD strategy study for a few of our MARC lines, and then we'll also be talking about the FY27 WSTC budget. For those that are interested in our jurisdictional updates, we'll also be having updates from Montgomery County, Prince George's, and then WMATA's very own Mr. Charlie Scott will be present also to provide his update for us as well. So great meeting, and encourage folks to participate. With that, I'll hand it over to my colleague.
Thank you. This past Monday, DMV Moves colleagues were able to experience the Purple Line project's progress firsthand in Silver Spring. For the public's benefit, the Purple Line is now more than 80% complete, with 65% of the track installed, including 100% of track installed in Prince George's County. And finally, for Montgomery County, The county is hosting an in-person public meeting in the US 29 Flash Bus Rapid Transit Phase 2 project from 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, October 7th at Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring. This is an opportunity for MC-DOT to share the design of a dedicated bus lane with the public and invite community members to provide feedback. And so ends our joint report. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, so thanks to my DC colleague, Director Spring, Alternate Director Springworth, a couple of quick announcements. So there's Caribbean Family Fun Day in DC, which is September 27th, this Saturday from 12 to 6, which is at Tacoma Park, which showcases the richness of Caribbean heritage while providing meaningful resources and services to DC's Caribbean community. There'll be food, music, it's really fun. Games, school supply giveaway, et cetera, et cetera. The other festival to be highlighted is the 44th Annual Tacoma Park Street Festival is taking place on Sunday, October 5th from 10 to 5 on Carroll Avenue. And there'll be lots of vendors and unique shops. Tacoma Park is really fun. Please come out and support the businesses. And then lastly, just a comment, which is I think we'll hear more about at the next session. Just I think on behalf of DC is very excited about the stadium and moving forward and collaborating with Metro. The district will be collaborating with Metro to study how best to make it easy for folks to come and enjoy games at the future stadium to be developed, the RFK site. And I guess, let's see, that's it. All right, with no further business to come before the board, we stand adjourned. Thank you for joining us. We will now move to board executive session. In accordance with the bylaws, I, Valerie Santos, request that the Board of Directors convene an executive session to discuss the following matters pursuant to Article 2, Paragraph 9, subsections: budgetary matters that may affect legal positions, contracts, or sensitive relationships with local jurisdictions or the federal government, and contractual or other matters involving confidential or proprietary concerns or the investment of public funds where discussion could potentially affect the financial interests of WMATA. Is there a second? Thanks, Director Lowe. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.